At the Center for Election Science, we study and advance better voting methods. And that's really important because when we vote, we're deciding who sits in the seats, who spend countless amounts of tax dollars and control the policies that govern our everyday lives. And right now, we're doing it in a very bad way. So we use this method where we choose only one candidate, and the candidate with the most votes wins. It seems innocuous, but it causes all kinds of issues. And so consequently, we push another method called approval voting, which is when you can pick as many candidates as you want. No ranking or anything complicated, just pick as many as you want, most votes wins. This addresses a number of issues. You don't have to worry about vote splitting. If there are multiple candidates that you like, choose multiple candidates. You don't have to worry about betraying your favorite. You can always support your honest favorite. If there's a candidate that you really like, support them. And if you want to have a say in the outcome, support one of the front runners as well. This method also tends to elect a more consensus-style winner. For approval voting, if we wanted to apply to federal elections, we can go after the state level. So states are able to control federal positions for their state, so they can control federal Senate seats that apply to their state, as well as House seats that apply to the state that are also federal. There are some limitations to that, but you can still use approval voting for those elections. So there are a number of qualifications that make approval voting an excellent candidate, even compared to ranked choice voting. So ranked choice voting is much better than the current method that we use now, choosing only one. But it can have some logistical issues. So for instance, we recently got a big win in Fargo, North Dakota, where they just implemented approval voting last year. Next up for us is going to be St. Louis in 2020. And the reason St. Louis is going with approval voting, one big reason, is because it's really easy to implement. To change St. Louis's voting machines, it would cost millions of dollars. Whereas approval voting is a method that's shovel-ready. You don't need any kind of special software. Just go ahead and implement it. So we went in agnostic about the voting method that we were going to be advocating for. And approval voting came out on top because it has a very low complexity cost. It's really easy to implement, and it performs really well. It gets you a nice type of winner, this nice consensus winner, and it has all these nice properties, which some of them make it so that it gives third parties and independents a much more accurate reflection of support, because you can always support your honest favorite, and that support is easily reflected in the results. So right now we're working to publish a study that we did for the 2016 election, where we compared 4 different voting methods, which also included a control measure, and that applied to the general elections for 2016 and the presidential election. And we're going to be doing the same thing in 2020 for the very crowded primary that we see here. We can only imagine the issue of choosing only one candidate. Imagine even trying to rank 20 candidates, quite difficult. And so we're looking at how the Democratic primary would turn out under 4 different voting methods. So ranked choice voting, approval voting, score voting, and then our current choose one method. We'll be doing the same thing with the general election. Score voting is a voting method where you rate or score each candidate on a scale of, say, 0 to 5, and the candidate with the highest score on average wins.